Now, let's take a journey into the shadow. Shadow work is the most common type of work that I do in my practice. Whether we are dealing with a projected shadow, someone that my client is having a challenge with in the outer world, or an inner shadow, a part of my client that they are challenged to face. In the water realm, we retract the shadows as outer projections, as outer people, outer situations, outer experiences that challenge us. Instead, we look inside, we withdraw the projections and own the source of those projections as the inner shadow. So today, for this exercise, much like the Ho'oponopono exercise, which is in itself a form of shadow work, I'd like you to look within your own nature. And I'd like you to, for this exercise, to hold a certain part of your nature that you're challenged with. Maybe it's a part of your nature that you're embarrassed about, in fear of, feel victimized by. Maybe it's a part of yourself that you try to pretend doesn't exist, but it shows up in the worst times. Or trying to escape it, but the more you escape it, the more it seems to find you and find a way to express itself through you, as you. Maybe you find yourself fighting these shadowy parts of your nature in the hopes of one day being able to conquer them. Well, today I'm going to offer you another way, the way of the peaceful shaman, the sorcerer, the sorceress. And as you may recall from the dragon exercise, from this perspective, from the archetype of the shaman, we see this appointment with these shadows in our lives as an opportunity, not only to rid ourselves of the shadows that challenge us and causes problems in our lives, but also to transform that shadow, turn it into an ally. Carl Jung said, our shadows are our allies in disguise. So the game is to transform these shadowy parts of our nature into supportive resources, supportive aspects of our nature. And certainly when you look at it from this perspective, you can see that it can be quite an adventure, quite exciting. Although I still don't love having to deal with my shadow sides, I appreciate them in a different way because I found a way to be in relationship with them where I can make a difference. Where once was a painful reality about myself, about some part of my nature, now becomes an opportunity to not only get rid of it, to transform it, but also to see what it turns into. There's all the myths about fighting the dragons, and behind the dragon, or within the dragon, is that pearl. Or others say within the pile of manure is that golden nugget, the golden piece, or the pearl. And it's much like we do with the Ho'oponopono, where we see an external person that we're challenged with, and we begin to release all of what we're holding up about that challenging relationship. And instead we bring in love, forgiveness, thanks. And we see the God within them, the kingdom within them, the gold within them. And as Christ said, to love others, we must first know how to love ourselves. All parts of ourselves, all selves within. So I'd like you to choose a part of yourself that, if you were able to transform today, it would be a really wonderful thing. And use it for this exercise throughout. So again, for this exercise, choose something about yourself that you're challenged with. Right now I could think about 15 for myself, but only choose one. Take your time. Maybe something that you do that annoys you, or that you don't understand, or that hurts you. And at first you can see it's a very personal experience. It's a very first person experience. It's you, right? This is something that you do in the world. A way that you think, behave, feel. So notice that in yourself. Maybe it's something you do when you're alone or with others, or after when you're tired or you're drinking. Just choose what that might be for you. And at first, I just want you to feel the uneasiness that you feel in your body as you tune into that shadow part of your own nature. It may bring up visuals of memories of times when the shadow part of your nature caused you problems. Then you can use those memories almost like entering a holodeck, going into a fully immersive experience so that you feel it on a deep, visceral, somatic body level. Something that comes through you that when it does, you seem to have no control over, maybe, or little. And you'd like to change it today. The first thing is to witness, to be present with it, to drop out of the head and down into the heart and the belly, and to come from a balanced perspective, heaven and earth, and harmony through the vision in the heart. So you can just be present with what is, even as you're experiencing it. And maybe seeing it in your form as you act it out in the way that you do. Watching in your memory the way your body moves, the way it responds, the way your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, the energy behind it, what it is that's projecting forward, trying to be accomplished or through you with the shadow part. The way your body moves and your posture and your energy. Go ahead and get into that now. Breathe it in and drop into it. Conjure it up. A part of the shamanic tradition is really being able to dive deeper into the experiences that challenge us. Good. So now, I want you to imagine turning the volume up 1,000 times brighter so it's almost over the top. A fevered pitch. If your music, a soundtrack, it would be really loud and explosive, maybe, or really intense or ominous. Just crank it up to where it's almost cartoon-like. And then in this moment, I want you to push it out of your body and into the space in front of you. Like a hologram that had taken over your form, send it out in front of you and let it take form before you. Now, another way of approaching this might simply be, if you were to imagine the way you're experiencing shadow side through your nature in this moment, if you were to imagine it in front of you, maybe if you were a director in a movie and you were to cast actor in this part, what would you see in your mind's eye that allows you to explain to an actor the qualities of this shadow part of your nature? Their posture, their gestures, their emotional state, the way they think, their motivation, their energy level, what they're looking into the world, what they're trying to accomplish. Just notice it all in this character in front of you, as if they're playing out the scene of the shadow now. And you can send all that energy out of your body into that shadow in front of you. Imagine if you were experiencing from the outside yourself as you were possessed in a sense by the shadow, engaged, acting out the shadow. What would it be like to experience that? See that in front of you now as a witness. And now, as you're doing so, I just simply want you to imagine the heavens bathing over you. Pure light, recalibrated light. Energy flowing up from the earth like a geyser of light. Come back into that apple core of light, up from the heavens, down from the earth. In harmony in the belly, swirling around. The entire universe swirling in the belly, the chest, the crystal palace. And all around you, this wonderful sphere of being true to your nature, connected with heaven and earth in harmony and balance. The central axis of ascending and descending energy informs, enlightens, empowers, and allows for your true nature, your higher nature, to come into your physical form to be witness, along with your basic self, all three selves in harmony right in this moment as you witness this shadow before you. And they're doing exactly what they do if they're allowed to come forward and act in the world the way they do, usually through us, sometimes projected onto others in the world that we despise, are embarrassed about, or find evil. But there they are in front of us now. And part of the trick is to just be in harmony yourself, to drop down into the heart so you can be a heartfelt, soulful witness Feel yourself come back into the light, back into harmony. Good, just like that. Turn it up even brighter, louder. There we go. Let it go. Let it all out, send it all out in front of you. Now, if you and I are looking at this shadow side of yourself, we would have to admit that no matter how long we spent witnessing or examining or analyzing this shadow self, we could never fully understand it. Not in total. It's as much a mystery as you and I, and as ancient. But we do know how we experience it in the effects it causes in our lives, the negative effects that ripple from its actions into the world around us. And we also know that we are ultimately responsible, because this is our life, and all that we let act through us, we're responsible for. Like a captain is responsible for his crew. So now, what I'd like you to do is to consider the fact that you don't know what to do. Although you know you would like to be rid of this, free of this shadow now. But you can't get rid of it, can't fight it, can't pretend, can't run. It does no good to fear it. It certainly doesn't help to be victim of it. So instead, we want to transform it. But I learned a long time ago that no matter how clever I am, or I think myself to be, or how much I learn about psychology, the psyche, about humanity, about the world, about myself, I don't know enough to do the real work. But I can, just like a good nurse, triage this part, this being. I can hold space for it, I can witness it, and I can call in the good doctor to come in and do the work of transformation. Because luckily we have the support of the universe, the wisdom of the entire universe of creation supporting us now. I suppose it's a fair question to ask, if the universe could bring all things into harmony, why hasn't it? But I also suppose it could be a fair question, why are we here? And what part do we play in this world? Is it a passive ride? A passive suffering of the world? Or do we have a role to play? A significant role? Can we, as witnesses of what goes wrong in our lives, in the world, in the collective as a personal experience, can we hold space for transformation to happen? Can we be, just like the cell membrane, be that aspect that knows how to draw the good things in for the cell and release the bad things out? If we look at the entire world, could that be a part of what we are capable of? As part, all a cell, a webbing of being around this planet, like a membrane around a cell. Can we draw in the goodness and release the badness out? Are we capable of that? And if so, how do we do it? Well, I know that the universe knows, and I know that the universe has yet to do it. But I also know that if I ask and I request the universe to transform this part before me as an act of compassion, it will do so. So imagine, as you're imagining above yourself the entire universe bathing down over you like the Holy Spirit or the Wu Chi or the prana or the life force that brings you back into resonance. And the Mother Earth energy flushing up through you like the tree of life, exalting, empowering, and animating you. Let's do so for this shadow in front of you. The point I got in my practice where I realized I didn't know was a very powerful point. It came early in my practice, but it took a while to realize that I have the entire universe on my side, and that my job is not to know. My job is to support, to hold space, to hold a vessel of healing. So let's call now the entire universe to swirl over the shadow part of our nature in front of us. And see it, the trillions and trillions of galaxies of light spiraling down, turn it up 1 billion times brighter than that, over the shadow. And imagine this shadow image in front of you disappearing in the light like underneath a waterfall of pure potentiality, of pure life force, of intelligence, of wisdom, of the entire universe in harmony, balance, power. And we, from the heart, ask the universe to transform this part, this beingness, the shadow, to release it like a frog to a prince, like the fairy godmother with Cinderella, to release it out of the spell that it's cast under. Because we know inherently that all the shadows in the world are an aspect of the light. And we simply want to bring them back out into the light, into balance. There were parts of your nature and my nature that as children were good, were fun, were playful. But as the years go by and as we have challenges in our lives, some of these parts, in order to survive, get a little twisted or get a little turned around, confused, scared, worried, fearful, afraid, lustful, all the rest. And it's okay. Because the one thing my guides have taught me from the very beginning, the most important word we will ever know in this lifetime is the word redemption. They said that specifically for me, but I suppose it means the same for all of us. The fact that we can be redeemed from a lowly state to back into an exalted state, just like that, is our birthright. To be here on this planet and to get mired down with the muck of it all, to get twisted and driven out of shape, to be drawn down, to be distorted, to be diseased, to be dismembered. It's part of the earth experience. It's part of the challenge we face on this planet. But it's always in our reign to bring it back into harmony, to come back, to release and let the old die away with great compassion, with great ritual, great release. But to invite the phoenix out of the ashes, to invite the flow from the stagnation to receive this gift. So as the light from the heavens bathing down over that shadow in front of you, and you could see the spiraling energy coming up from the earth like trillions of fractaling roots of light, lifting, exalting, and then maybe it happens like a supernova. An explosion. A release from the old, from the cursed, the shadow. And because you've asked heaven and earth to bring this shadowy part to its highest functionality, because we don't know, and because heaven and earth in harmony do know, and because they know they can effortlessly transform, recalibrate, release this part of our nature back to its highest functionality right this moment, like that. It doesn't take a lifetime. Unless it takes a lifetime. It doesn't take a moment unless it takes a moment. And in this moment we can imagine, right? We can imagine that this shadow has transformed. The light recedes and bathing over us even before we can see the transformed shadow, what it has transformed into. We can feel the change, the shift in their nature, the energy, the feeling of their presence now. Something's different, right? Yeah. And if you were to imagine heaven and earth transforming this part of your nature just like that, because you requested it to be so, what can you imagine it transforms into? Maybe it appears like a Polaroid film developing. Or maybe it's just clear in your mind. You get a sense of it. It might be taller, might be bigger, might be more energized, happier, transformed. When you come to that, when it has transformed, just now go back to witnessing, to see what it's transformed into. What could you imagine? What do you see? What do you experience? Effortlessly, playfully. And if you can't imagine anything, don't imagine. But if you were to imagine something, what do you think you would imagine? That's it, right there in front of you. And so now you're tuning into this new being, the shadow transformed. And this is now your ally. Far from being a part of your life that you're embarrassed about or causing you problems or challenges in your world. It's now this ally. It knows the challenges you face in your life, but it's been released. It's like, when you have a bad day, you're not very good for others, but when you're in a good place, you're a different person. And you can imagine that this part of you has a lot to teach you. Now, I can imagine that you could simply sit down and have a conversation with them about your life, and you would gain a lot out of that. But we can also bring it into past situations where, when it was your shadow, it behaved the old way. And since it's transformed, we want to go back into a time where that part of you might have done what it did and thought the way it thought and felt the way it felt and acted the way it acted. And we go back into this moment now, back in time, when the shadow caused a problem in our lives, either inner or outer. And now we're going to bathe that moment as if we're watching a movie. We're going to bathe that moment with this new energy. And it's like magic. It transforms, like a video game. And now this past moment that was once such a shadowy moment transforms. And like a director in a film, you can scrub, you can rewind, and then play and watch how this part of yourself, now different, deals with this moment. Watch how this new ally treats the same situation differently, because they're different. And it's your job now. You've done the work of transforming. Now you're receiving. Now you're learning. So when you drop down from the heart, you get a deeper experience, both from the head and from the deeper primal self. Watch how they do that experience. And you can imagine other experiences way back maybe that they're doing all of them differently now, like a light Gaze along your past, along that timeline, like light bulbs exploding. And those old shadowy ways are now transformed into this new way, all the way back. And you can imagine seeing them all at once with the same ease, the same state of grace, same way of being as you see in this new one, in this moment. You could breathe it into your body, invite this new being into your body and shapeshift into it, and let it shapeshift into you. And you can see yourself in a similar situation now, behaving in this new way because you're informed, enlightened, empowered by this once shadowy figure, but now they're an ally. Turn it up 1,000 times brighter. Feel it on a full body level. Mind, emotions. Send it out into the room like a sunlight shining through the house, the neighborhood, the world, the earth, the heavens. Through the entire matrix of your existence. Smile into it. Let it be so. How much can you let it be? This new way. Everything dissolves, all the opaque dissolves into the translucent truth of this new way. You can send it all the way into the future, through the rest of your day, the rest of your night, through dream time, through the morning time as you wake up, and into the day and weeks and months and years and the rest of your life and beyond. Because you have this new medicine now. You can see in all of your relations how this transforms even relationships and situations that don't seem to be connected. This new resource branches out in many different ways that you've never been aware of. It allows you a way to be in relationship with other in a new way. And the great thing about it is there's no need for thought. There's no need to think it into existence. You can't do that. But you can imagine it, can't you? And because you can imagine it, it is so. It always has been this way. Just now we're owning it. And smile into it and see in the future some wonderful interactions where before you would have gone into this old way. And each time that old way wants to come through or not, you can immediately go back into this ally and invite them in and effortlessly show you how to move in this new way. It's our place to see the future into existence. What we focus on becomes our reality to a large degree. It's a dance. And in this work, we're not only looking at the past, because the past is present in the moment, right? It's alive. Because it's alive in this moment, we can transform it, just like we can transform things from the past, the future, or the present. If you've ever been in a horrible mood and had a great experience that quickly pulled you out, maybe you got a phone call from a friend who you love and who sees your gold, and all of a sudden, like that, you're back. Smiling, your room seems better, your body seems better, your life seems wonderful, everything seems better, just in a flash. Something reminded you, someone reminded you of the truth. Beyond the drudgery of everyday life, beyond your challenges, there is a golden self that you can live into. And now with this transformed ally, we can always meet with them. In the future, we're going to be doing, in this work, we're going to be going into the inner world, and you can meet with this ally as you meet with your guide. In the water realm, we'll also meet with your inner guide. And with your guide, you can communicate with them directly, to ask them questions about your ally, to have a go-between, someone that can tell you a little bit better how to engage them or how to integrate them into your life. But for now, just feel that new self in this new way and see yourself behaving in this new way. And it is so. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.